Okay, this is a test the operator runs to check for the settling characteristics of bacteria. In the clarifiers that we looked at, this is exactly what's going on. The clear water is staying on the surface, the sludge or bacteria is heavier than the water, and it's settling to the bottom. And this is the process we use for clarifying the water. The organics have been converted to the bacteria settle by gravity, leaving the treated water on top.
See them right now actually floating to the bottom.
You can see some of them going to the bottom, that's right. Started up at the headworks, and we told you that the wastewater flows down into the aeration basin where we convert the organics into bacteria, and then we put the bacteria into a settling tank where gravity pulls the bacteria to the bottom and leaves the treated water on the surface. Well, this is the settling tank, or what we call a clarifier. Okay. In the clarifier we see the clean, treated water on the surface. On the bottom is a bacteria blanket, a sludge blanket that's being drawn off and being reused for the process to recycle the bacteria into the plant to do more treatment. Now the water in here is overflowing around the edges. You can see where it's coming over the trough. Yeah. It flows through the trough and eventually makes its way down to the effluent basin or chlorine contact basin where we add chlorine for disinfection.
Yeah. I've been hearing a lot about stormwater pollution. How does that affect our drinking water and this wastewater treatment plant?
Well, this wastewater treatment plant eventually discharges the treated water to the same location that the stormwater goes to. It goes into the streams and the ditches and eventually goes down to the lakes. That is our drinking water source. Here though, the sanitary sewer that we discharge is treated before it's discharged. The storm sewer is not treated at all. So anything you put down into a street or out in your yard that goes down the storm sewers, it's a separate set of piping, goes directly to the streams and lakes untreated. As opposed to what you put down the drain comes here and we treat it before we discharge.
There's a lot of trash in there too.
Alright, so the dangers you hear about stormwater are things that people put out on their lawn or grass clippings or biocides and insecticides, herbicides they put on their yards or overuse. Those go directly to the streams and into the drinking water sources in our lakes.
What's the process going on here? What are we doing in this tank?
Well, in this tank, we've added chlorine at the beginning of the tank. The chlorine sets in this tank with the water in contact for maybe an hour, hour and a half to 2 hours. That's to kill any residual bacteria that are left over after the treatment process. So I told you that we settle the bacteria out in the clarifiers.
Yeah.
Not all of the bacteria gets settled out. A lot of it stays in the water. So we want to remove as much of that as we can. So we add chlorine, comes in contact with the bacteria. Most of the bacteria die, but not all of it, since we're just disinfecting it. Yeah. Then it overflows here. Now the chlorine would go from here out into the stream, but the chlorine is bad for the aquatic life in the stream. So we have to add another chemical. In this case, we're adding sodium bisulfite. That's this liquid string that we see coming in. So the sodium bisulfite is added to the water, reacts with the chlorine, and neutralizes the chlorine. So by the time it leaves here, there's really no residual chlorine left over by the time it leaves the treatment plant.
I've heard in the future we're going to be getting most of our water from surface water from lakes like Lake Houston and other lakes around here. Is that right?
That's correct. I mean, the water we're discharging here is commingling with other waters in Cypress Creek, going down to Cypress Creek, and getting into Lake Houston. At Lake Houston, there's another treatment process, a treatment plant that takes the water out of the lake, puts it through the treatment process, and treats it to drinking water standards. They then pump it back into a distribution system, and we receive that water back as drinking water. Okay, so the water we're getting back from the Lake Houston, of course, we've already used that water once, it's been treated, put back into it, and we're going to use it again. So you got to think, the water's not really getting created or destroyed, so how many times has that water that we're drinking been drunk by somebody else in the past?
Or dinosaurs in the past.
That's correct.
This must be the sludge press you were telling me about.
That's right, this is the sludge press. I wanted to stop by and you could see this before we were done. This is really the final process for what we've removed from the wastewater. I told you that we put the wastewater into the treatment plant and convert it into bacteria. Take the extra bacteria we grow every day, put it in the digester. The digester, we concentrate it, reduce the total amount of bacteria in there. Eventually it makes its way over to the sludge press. The purpose of the sludge press is to remove as much water as possible. We'll probably have a total solids concentration by weight of 15 to 20% coming off the bell press. The reason for that is hauling water is expensive. So the most water that we can remove from the sludge, the less expensive it is to take that sludge out for final disposal. Now the final disposal site is going out to a farm somewhere. The sludge cake that we're putting in this dumpster here is going to be incorporated with the soil and be reused as fertilizer for crops. So essentially, the waste you put in to the water as it goes down the drain eventually gets recycled for crops on a farm somewhere.
So we really have come full circle, right?
Yes, we have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Amos. This has been interesting.
Thank you, Ryan.